I'll be taking you guys through Revit structural modeling essentials. So today we'll be going through a project where we'll model a building, reinforced concrete, ground plus one-story building in Revit, and I'll take you through all the requirements that you need to know from the theoretical aspect to the practical hands-on modeling of this structure using Revit. So without further ado, let's get into it. So once you open your Revit software, depending on the year you're using, um, you'll be led to this opening page where you see this interface. So the very first thing you do is to open your model or to start a new model, right? So you click on this section under model, click on new, and then you select a template, right? I've already created a template which I'll use for my project. So you go to browse, then you click on the specific templates that you're using for that you want to use or that you set for your project's modeling, set be it structures or architecture. Since we are focusing on structures, I've created a template for structural detailing works where I've imported all my formulas and everything that I need to move through my modeling smoothly without uh, doing everything from scratch. So we can open. Now I have my templates file and I click on OK. So let's just wait whilst it loads. Okay, so our Revit file has opened, right? So let's save this file so that we have it down. Let's click on the file, go to save as, and then we are saving it as a project. Let's give it a name, Revit structures, project one. Revit structures project one. Let's go to option and then give save backup as one. Click on OK. Um, where's the okay? So where do you want to save this document at? You want to save it somewhere that we know exactly where it's going to go. So let's save it on desktop. Okay, so save it on desktop. Okay, so our Revit file has successfully been saved. So what I do most of the times, I don't work with the analytical, so I delete those analytical view out of my model. You're not also working on sites, but you can leave that or you can also delete it depending on your requirements. So uh let's go to the AutoCAD file that will be referencing from. So this is the architectural plan drawing that will be replicating. So this is the ground floor plus the first floor, and then we have roofing just above the first floor. So we're going to also do a structural model that meets this requirement. Now, the very first thing you have to do is to study the architectural plans, looking at elevational differences between the floor plan. So you can see for our corridors, right, the outdoor seating, we have a elevation of plus 600 from the natural ground. And when you go into the room reception, you see that we have a slab step up of 150, corridor 600, 150 step up into the rooms. So we have to pay attention to all those requirements. And if we put a model that meets those architectural elevational differences, you also have to look at your structural requirements where you also focus on what the designer has given to you. So the designer has given to you all the structural elements, their sizes, and also giving you the detail requirements, so, which includes the reinforcement type, the count number of each of these reinforcements for each of the structure elements, and then the spacing that you have to follow through. You have to understand all those requirements, and then you can go in and have a successful detailing work done that will meet the design intent that has been forwarded to you. So we'll just go through this process as quickly as possible to get an understanding of how this is done. Okay, so the very first thing when you get a model is to, like this, is to model your datum elements, model your datum element. So this datum element includes two things, right? That's one, your grid lines, and two, your levels, right? So um, most of the times you start with the levels first. So let's do levels, then we do grid lines. Right. So we model our levels first. So again, this levels is in correlation. This levels is in correlation with architecture levels. Right. So you have to make sure that you look at it closely so that you're following everything. The grid lines, which include both the horizontal or vertical grids, also should be in correlation with grids, right? So we also make sure everything follows a streamline order. So let's go, let's see how we will do this successfully. So let's start with the levels. So the very first thing when you want to start with the levels, you look at your project browser here, you can click on any uh, elevational section that you want to click on. It's north southwest, so you can click on anyone. So let me click on the east. Once you click on that, you see a standard guideline that has already been given to you in your model. So we have your level one, we have your level two. Right, so let me send this to you. There, let me send this. Okay, so that's it, that one. Now, let's start with our leveling. So before we start with our leveling, we have to have a very good understanding of what the level is for your particular project, right? The level requirements. So let's draw. Okay. So this is our foundation base that we have the way, and we use a different color. Let's use orange. Well, we have the technical report, right? So let's see. This where is our foundation level? Our foundation level, right? So that will be the base of your footing. After you dig the natural ground down to the base of your footing. So that's where you have our foundation level. Now, some people can go further. After the foundation level, they go down like 100 mm. They go down 100 mm. Again, to set the what we call the 360 plain cement concrete. What we call the plain cement concrete, right? So when you're modeling, you can also put in that requirement where after the foundation level, you go down 100 mm or 50 mm, depending on design requirement. You do your plain cement concrete level. So you look at that. So For this project, let's use 1 meter from natural ground to from the natural ground to foundation that will be 1 meter. So that's this natural ground denoted as NG. That's our natural ground. Now when you're going up again by what? Going up again by, because we have level differences at the top. We have 750, we have 650. Right. So let's use the highest elevation. Let's go up by 0.75. Okay, so that our 0.6 will be within this same level. So this will be our ground floor. This will be our ground floor. Which will be 1.75 over here. Right? And then we will have our first floor. Our first floor, right? Which are also going for a distance of a different color. Let's use a different color. Let's use yellow. Okay, so we're using this one. We are going 3.15. From the ground floor to our first floor, we're going up 3.15. So if we have 3.15 plus 1.75, there is 0, which will give us 1.789. This will give us 4.9. 4.90 meters. Meters to 1.75 meters. So everything is limited. And then we go up to our final floor, which is our roof level. Or roof level, right? So our roof level, this one has an elevation of 3.7 per the architectural requirements. So when you're studying it, you just look at it, make sure you follow exactly what is there. So 3.7. So now you know that we have 4.90 plus 3.70 plus 9, we have 9, that'll be 16. Carry 100. So our final level will be 8.67. 8.60. So let's also write that down. Let's do that there. 8.60 meters, right? So this is our final level. So if you pay attention to this very carefully, and then from this side is where we now have, but this level is where you now have your either it's a pitch roofing, pitch roofing system. Yeah, you get that will now come, and then these with on top of this level, right? And the architectural design. So you pay attention to that very carefully and make sure you follow this level requirement. So now that we have this, what do we do? So let's go back to our Revit model. We are now going to follow those levels, make sure that we are achieving the same thing. So, and also the name is also very important. So, the very first name that we have was products foundation level. So you do the same thing as my in the first foundation level. So that's the level 0. That's the level 0. From the foundation level to your uh ground floor is 1.75. So we already have a level 2 here, right? So you really need your ground floor level. Ground floor level 5. Let's capitalize the beginning of ground floor level, and that was what 1750 like that. Okay, 1750 like that. Okay, so that's our ground floor level. Now, when you're coming to draw your levels, right? You can draw it either from because when I see Datum over, I can draw it there, or you can move to structures. You also have it there. So what you're going to click on is levels. Once you click on the levels, right? The context panel open where you see this arrow, select it, and then you give the offset the next level that you're looking for. So the next level we're looking for is our first floor, which is 4.90, or you can offset it by the distance. Instead of typing 4.90, which you get wrong. So you have to type the offset distance from this line. That will be 3.15. Okay. So offset it by 3.15, and meters will be 3150 in millimeters, right? And you just hover close to where your arrow is. Hover and push it like you're going up. If you do it like you're going down, you see that if you draw the gray line downward, which is wrong, so you hover like you're going up. Select, it comes there with a 4.9 the way you want it. You can decide to draw all the gray lines before you come and edit the names. Okay, so you pay attention to that very carefully and have your modeling methodology which you feel makes sense to you. So let me model all the lines before. So the next one is 3.7. You give us the roof level to 3.7. You just change it to like 3.7. Then we hover up and select. You have it 3.6. So you have your level 6. So actually, now what we do, and you're going to select, yeah, so you edit it. So let's just edit this one and name it our first floor level, capitalize it here. This is our first floor level, not our first floor level, over there. Let's go to this and answer. Yeah, level, that's nice. Now, when you do that, you see that this has coloration difference. This is showing black, this showing blue. The black means this first floor and this floor is not visible in your structural plan, right? But these blue ones are visible. So you can see you have foundation and ground level. But you don't have anything for first floor and roof level. So you have to make sure you correct it by selecting it. Go to view, and select it, go to view, then you go to plan view to buy the fruits, click on structural plan. Yeah, make sure you're saving the project too. Revit is not unforgiving. Now you select both of these two levels because you want them to be visible, click on it. Right. Now you have them visible in the good. So you can see that all the colors are now free. Very important. We follow through these processes. Okay, now you have all the levels the way you want them. So what do you do now? Now we go and model our what's grid lines. So our grid lines, we could model our grid lines anywhere. In the, at least any other floor you draw it. It's not like when you draw it on a roof floor level, you won't see it on ground floor. It's not a specific uh, element for just a level. When you draw it in any of the levels, you see it regardless of the levels you are at. So now let's draw this grid on our ground floor.